again and welcome to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with a special focus as usual on the exhibition style budgerigar. And indeed in this episode we are going to look at exhibitions, just a cage bird exhibition, because you may remember from the last episode, over the weekend I was judging at Princes Risborough Young Birds show. I judged the budgerigars and I also judged the foreign birds, so there'll be more about that very shortly. The other thing that's really, I suppose, for this week is I've been, as you might imagine, carrying on with the focus on the big clean, as I think I called it in the last episode, getting the cages ready for the start of the budgerigar breeding season, which will be fairly shortly, and indeed in the next episode I think we'll start getting some pairs out and have a look at them. As I promised, I did say in the last episode that I would try and get a few of the Fifes out. We will do that in this episode. I'll get just a couple of them out. The one that caught my eye in particular, we'll have a look at that one before I pop him into a cage on his own to finish the final bit of the molt off for that particular bird. And we'll have an update on the young Fife that we had to bring in here that was looking particularly poorly about a week ago, and see how that bird has got on. Right, let's begin by talking about the Princes Risborough Cage Bird Society show. So like I said, over the weekend I was out judging the Princes Risborough Cage Bird Society. I think it was a young bird show. And first, before we go on, a big thank you to Ken, who drove me there and back. Big thanks, Ken, most appreciated. It meant that I'm without a car at the moment, so I'm unable to get around too much. So Ken very kindly agreed to drive me. So big thank you. A big thank you to the team at Princes Risborough for inviting me to judge that particular show, and of course a special thank you to all those people who exhibited their birds and trusted me with judging them. There was a really good selection of budgerigars out there. Some not in the best of condition, but some in a reasonable condition. And there was a particularly strong entry from the novice section. And in fact, in the budgerigar, it was a novice who won the adult, and it was also a novice who came out top with the young bird. So congratulations to those two. And of course I also judged the foreign. There was a good selection of zebra finches, and there was also some Bengalese, I think it was, that were also out there. So thanks again for all those people who put those out. Right, what we'll do now then, we'll take a quick look at the birds that were at that show, and in the middle of that you'll hear Dave Toval talk about one of his Fifes. So interesting for me to listen to him talk about what he saw in that particular bird and how he assessed it. Anyway, let's have a look at the show. you like that one?
Why? Well, it's up on its legs, it's got nice back, and it's got plenty of width for a yellow. It ain't got a bad head.
Very nice. I hope you enjoyed that little look at the Princes Risborough show. Like I said a minute ago, I really did enjoy judging there. It's always an honour to be asked to judge any show. So thank you very much, and some very worthy winners there. Well, before we go out and have a look at the Fife, or maybe a couple of the Fife, certainly one in particular, and see how it looks in comparison with that description that Dave Tovell gave, I thought I'd have a quick update on the young Fife that is still in here. Actually, I'm pleased to say that appears to have made a completely full recovery. It's feeding well, it's perching now, doesn't spend very little time on the floor, and there's a bit of more brightness in its eyes, so hopefully that young one will be able to go back out into the main flight very shortly. I'll give him I'll probably give him until the weekend, so by the time this video comes out, hopefully he will be back out in the main flight. So yeah, so pleased that I caught that. I think I said in the last episode, very seldom do I find that, you know, even after I've taken the bird out and given it some additional TLC, very rare do I find that it recovers, but that bird certainly has done. Right, what I'll do now then is we'll nip out to the Finch and Fife flight, and we'll have a look at some of or at least one of the Fifes from breeding to bench. Well, I have managed to catch the two birds I wanted to look at today out of the flight. I must admit it took a little bit of doing, so it means the birds are still a little bit stressed, and it's also the first time either of the birds have been in the showcase. So you can see one of them behind me, but we will look at the other one first, which is a heavily variegated buff bird. We'll look at that one, then we'll look at this one, and then what we'll try and do is compare the two of them side by side. I'm not going to talk too much about what I see in them because, as I say, first time in the showcase and still fairly stressed. Right, let's take a look at the heavily variegated buff bird first. Okay, so this is the first bird we're going to look at. It's its first time in the showcase, so do please bear with me a little bit here. And also I've only just caught him up, so not happy at all. So you're not going to get the best view of this bird. But this one keeps catching my eye in the flight. It's about to go into a cage on its own, where I can give it some showcase training. Can't really see it here. I will see if I can just get him to settle just a little bit. But he stands up well off the perch, and when he's relaxed, he has a nice bit of neck on him, but at the moment, quite clearly, not showing that at all. If anything, he might be a little bit big, and doesn't hold his tail particularly well, very fanny type tail. But again, I think some of that is because he's very nervous in the showcase. I'm probably not giving you the best, or giving him the best chance to show you what he looks like really. So we will, once he's settled a little bit in a couple of weeks and has had some showcase training, I will bring him back down and show you him again. I will try and get a still of the bird if he does start to settle. He's still quite loose underneath, as you can see, so not completely finished the molt, and he's still, I think, got a couple of pin feathers on the top of his head. So again, not completely through the moult. And managed to get a feather in his mouth as well. Another sure sign that he's not completely through the moult. If he settles a little bit over the coming few minutes, when he's been in the cage a little while, I'll put him back up and we can perhaps try and get a better view of him. The other bird that I'm about to show you oh sorry, I should have said, so this bird I think is a heavily variegated buff. So the next bird then, let's have a quick look at this next one. Like I say, if this bird does steady himself down just a little bit, I will pop him back up in front so you can see. So this bird here, a bit more settled in the cage actually, is another one that I quite like. And now I'm not sure whether this is just because this is a pretty bird in terms of its colour. It's quite clearly a yellow, so a variegated yellow. I'll try and stand back a little bit and let him settle. Again, a bird that stands up well off the perch, has got quite a well-defined head and neck. Tail is nice, and this is a smaller bird as well, so I quite like the size of this one. Again though, still going through the moult, you can see the pin feathers on the top of the head. A little bit more settled in the cage, only a little bit though. Not sure if I put them side by side whether that might help them to settle a little bit, so I'll give that a go and we'll have a look. So here you can see the two birds side by side, and certainly the buff, heavily variegated buff is now settled a little bit. Still not fully comfortable in the showcase, and is not standing as high up off the perch as it normally does. And yeah, he's not really showing himself very well, but certainly the variegated yellow is looking a little bit more settled with another bird next to him or her. I think both of these are hens. And both of them look a little bit stressed out at the moment. Certainly the heavily variegated buff is looking very stressed. So I am going to finish here with these two, just because I don't want them to get too stressed out. So I'm going to take them back down to the Fife flight, and these two are going to go into a cage on their own, give them a chance to settle. They'll be next door to each other, but they will have a chance to settle. And whilst they're in that cage, they will get a chance to have a bit of showcase training, a bit more, or start their showcase training, should I say. Right, I'll pop these back then. Well, back in the main budgerigar flight, and I'm continuing, as you might imagine, to give the cages a really good clean. I've now bleached them all, so they've all been bleached. Well, certainly the stock cages have now been fully bleached, and I've also, along with bleaching them, I've also given them a spray with the anti-mite spray. And final stages, for which I need to get on with very shortly, is to get some paint and give them a fresh coat of paint. And once I've done that, they'll all be ready to go. I'm also in the process of bleaching all of the nest boxes, and then it will be a thorough clean of the breeding cages. And like I say, in the next episode, what we will probably do is start to get those early pairs out and have a look at them, and I'll talk a bit about pairing those birds up, and we'll get those in the breeding cages ready to go. I do need to order rings from the BS Society, and also I think I need to renew my membership as well. I think that's due next month, so those are another couple of things that I need to do. Right, that is just about all we've got time for in this episode. As always, if you enjoy the episode, if you've made it this far, then do give it a big thumbs up on the like. As I say, trying to get up to 30 likes per episode. That obviously increases the visibility of this particular episode, and also of the channel in general. And then also, if you aren't yet a subscriber, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you want early notifications. But most importantly, as always, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.